Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Let's get into it. Hey, everybody. This is Click the Clip coming at you today with a podcast that I just started doing called Beyond Click and Cliff. And this is just like a little podcast that that goes beyond Lego. This is a lot more than I don't want to talk about Lego on this podcast. This is more to me than Lego, and I want to share that with you. I want to give you some experiences of me growing up and tell you a little bit of stories and stuff like that. So, have y'all ever got lost before? I mean, you lost going to in a different town, trying to find a place and getting lost in that town, couldn't find your destination that you were going, especially way back before GPS. Now, since everybody's got GPS now, it ain't that. I mean, I don't think it's that difficult. You got your smartphones, your GPS is in your vehicles. So usually you can put in an address and you usually get there without any trouble. But I'm talking about before all that. I was around before all that, where if you went to another town that you've never been to, trying to find somebody, it could be a little hectic and troublesome. Now, this ain't this story I'm about to share with you ain't necessarily about that. This is more of my childhood. And I tell you what, I'll set the scene. I was maybe 7, 8 years old. I lived in Harrisonville, Missouri at the time. Um, my my parents, friends, had a boy my age, and we were friends. We grew up together. Great guy. But we were over there on a Saturday. On a Saturday, so I remember it being Saturday because my um, dad was there. My dad, worked Monday through Friday, and the only time he got off was on the weekend and Sunday. We stayed home as a family. We didn't do. We just stayed at the house, hung around with each other. Saturdays when we went out and about. So I knew it was on a Saturday. Well, we were playing basketball out in my friend's front yard, and some of his neighborhood friends came by on their bicycles, and and wanted to go bike riding. I had my bike there. For some reason, I had my bike there. Now I don't remember if my dad just brought it in the back of the pickup or whatever, but I had a bike there. So of course we went and asked our parents, and they said, "Yeah." Um, I didn't know at the end of the road there was a bunch of. When I was a little kid, I thought it was woods, but it didn't turn out to be woods. It was just undeveloped property in the city, and a lot of kids went in there riding their bikes and made trails with their bicycles. So there was a bunch of trails in there, right? And like again, let's take it back. I'd never been in there before now. So me and a bunch of us, I think there was like 7 of us. We went in there to ride our bikes, doing good. It was a pretty big area. Um, I'm like, I didn't know any different. We were riding, having fun. Um, well, we came up to this point of the nature calls, and I couldn't hold it anymore. And I told my buddy, I said, I gotta stop. I gotta find a tree. He didn't. He must not heard me, unless they're trying to get away from me. I don't know, one or the other. But anyway, I stopped, and I go, wow, I can catch up. How many trails could there be? So I stopped and did my business, get back on my bike, and start riding on the trail, trying to catch up to him. Well, Came up to this Y. Had a path going this way, another path going that way, path going this way, and all different directions. I'm like, huh. Well, so I did you know, the little saying back then, the ink, bottle ink, course fell out and you stink kind of thing. I chose a path and I went. Start riding and riding. I cannot find them. They were nowhere to be seen. So just think, 8 years old, and I was I called the woods back then, not knowing then what I knew now. I thought I was in the middle of the woods. I thought here I was going to play Survivor in the middle of this town that I didn't know nothing about. And I was like, well, what do I do? Well, I kept riding, kept riding, kept riding, and still couldn't find them. So I go, well, I'll turn back. I'll turn around and go back the way I came and take another path. Well, I did that. Well, I rode and I rode and I rode. Still couldn't find them. At this point in the day, there's been a couple of days. I mean, a couple of days, couple hours. It was a big area. Came up to this field of nothing, and I go, well, I don't see him here. So I repeated the process. I turned around, rode back to where I began, thinking I'll run across him somewhere. So I took another path, same thing, couldn't find him. At this point, it was getting dawn because I could see the sun going down, and I was really getting worried. I was like, I started really getting worried. Well, so I took another path, and I said, I need to think of something. I was on a hill. So I looked down, I saw a bunch of houses. So I go, I guess I'll go down there. Maybe they're down there. So I rode my bike down the hill, went through people's yards, got out on the street, and I didn't know where I was. This, like I said, this is a different town. I don't know where I'm at. If I was back in my house, I knew every side road and everything. But this was a house. Just housing district. I didn't know where I was at, and I knew my friend's parents' names. So I go, well, worst case scenario, I want to start knocking on doors, and I went to this one guy and I asked him, you know where so and so lives? And they, first I said no. I said, oh dang it. Well, this ain't gonna work. This may not work out in my favor. Back then, this is a suburb of Kansas City, Missouri, big town. Yes, there's high crime there. But, I took a chance because some of these, I could have went to a bad person's house. And so I knocked on this one person's door, asking the same question. Hey, do you know where so and so lives? And this gentleman walks out of the house and he goes, no. He was eating some crackers. I remember. I don't know why food. Anyway, he was eating some crackers, and he told me to sit down here. I'm like, why? I gotta go find them. And he sits down. He talks to me for a minute. And he goes, "Are you lost?" I said, "Yes, sir, I am. I'm trying to find." I told him the story. And, me and my friends were riding these bike trails in the back, and I had to go pee, and they went on without me, and I don't know where I'm at. So yeah, I rode all them trails I could find and couldn't find them. Um, so he said there, and he was going to cracker, and I knew my parents' rule: don't take food from a stranger. Did I listen? No. So what I do? I took that cracker. Well, they sat there and asked me some questions. Where I live. And I said, yeah, I live in Lee Summit at the time. I live in Lee Summit, but I'm here with my friends, and well, repeated the story. I got lost in the woods. We were riding a bike. I don't know where I'm at. Well, so, he brought me in the house with his family. I think he had a couple of daughters that were older, and his wife, and sat there. I was kind of worried, like, why did they bring me in the house? I don't know these people. And they fed me a sandwich. They fed me a sandwich and a soda. I remember that plain as day. I don't know why I remember food. Don't ask me why, but hey. Um, but sat there for a minute. He made a phone call, and I'm like, he comes back and he goes, "There's gonna be a gentleman coming getting you on your bike, and we're gonna go find where you're at." And I'm like, "Well," I go. That's when I started getting defensive. What? No, no, I'll go now. I'll go now. I don't need to drive this other guy. And then he pulled out. He was a police officer. He was actually a detective in Kansas City. He pulled out his badge, showed me his ID and all that jazz, and I'm like, I put my mind at ease a little bit, ease, and I'm like, okay, okay, now I'm calmed down a little bit, and then I was 7 years old. I started getting a little bit scared, like, oh no, I'm in trouble, I'm in trouble. Well, this other gentleman finally came to the house, and that this gentleman talked to the other guy and told him the story, what happened. And so the detective loaded up his bike in the back of his station wagon and started driving me around. We went around the woods, just went around the woods, and it happened to be I was in the front seat looking for my friends, and I saw my mom driving by. I said, "Hey, there's my mom." And he said, "What?" "Oh yeah, there's my mom." So he pulled around, pulled her over, and got her out and talking to her for a bit. And then I'm here. I started crying because I sure knew that I was going to be in trouble. That I was going to get in trouble. Well, that day, finally, you know, I got out of the car, came over, gave my mom a hug. I was scared, and she got my bike. She put it back in the car, and I got in the car and I looked at mom. I said, "Am I in trouble?" Mom goes, "No." She goes, "I'm just happy that you were okay. We found you." And we went back over to my friend's house, explained to him what happened. Talked to my friend. He goes, and you know what he said? He goes, "I was on the top of the hill looking right at you." I said, "Then why didn't you come back down and get me? But this has been all avoided." He said, "Well, I thought you knew which way we went." I said, "No." But it was fun. It's kind of weird how things come like that. It's, it could be a higher power. I don't know. But somebody was looking after me that day. Because, I could have easily walked into a bad neighborhood. I could have walked into a bad situation right there. But luck, luck be the lady. I That lady went to a police officer's house, and I always went, thought about that the whole time. I always thought about, hey, what would that be like? Come up there and do that. So it was kind of fun. I mean, not fun, but it's just kind of. Have you ever done something that you thought was horrible, but then it turned out to be in a good situation, and you don't know how it happened that way? I got real lucky, and you see on the news now about all the bad stuff happening to children and getting abducted and all that trafficking stuff, and it just breaks my heart when I see that on the news. That's why I don't watch news, because usually news is no, when you watch the news, nothing good happens in the news. Maybe the weather, but I'm just saying there's. I got lost, and it turned out to be a pretty good situation. I got food out of the deal, found my parents, and made it home. Life was good, you know. But I've been lost in cities before. I went to see. I got lost in Dallas, Texas. I got lost. I'm just a lost person. But is it bad? Is it a bad thing? I don't know. I don't know. What would it be a bad thing for? But well, it kind of makes you think about that, doesn't it? It kind of makes you think that, hey, things happen for a reason, and maybe the reason was for me to know there is good people out there, and I hope everybody has that same feeling. There is still good people out there that does care about other people. That's the ones who I like to gravitate to. Um, but yeah, there's been times where, like, people got lost, and I've helped them out. They come, ask for directions. If I know how to tell them there, I get them there. So always be willing to help another person out, especially if they're lost. It's not their fault that they're lost. It's not their fault that they found themselves in that position. You know, they're trying to find someplace, trying to get to where their destination is. Always be kind and help them out. Even if you don't know, help them find out. I don't know. But guys, hope I know this is. I told you these podcasts may be an hour long, 20 minutes long, 5 minutes long. But I really think I'm enjoying these podcasts. I love opening up to you guys. I think this is great. I got to tell you a story about me. You may not like it, but it may happen. You may like it. I don't know. But if you do, please hit that like button. Always. Leave me a comment. Tell me if you like it or not. Give me a little story in the comments down below that maybe you found yourself out in the same predicament or whatever. Or subscribe to Click and Clip. And until next one, be kind and be well. See you later.